Hello, Ray Phoenix here. Welcome to Let's Play Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage Part 20. We're going to Robotica Farms, which is a level that I'm pretty sure directly ties in with the level we just played, Metropolis. It's also inhabited by robots that deal with pests. This time it's farm-related pests. Well, it was actually farm-related pests in Metropolis level too, but this time we're actually going to a farm where these robotic farmers are going to use vast quantities of DDT against these bugs and has them killed. Yeah, I remember the good old days when we just used DDT on everything. We never had bug problems or insect problems back in those days. Just use some good old DDT and that does the trick. Even the people who made Centipede or Millipede, I think, knew that DDT was really effective against bugs because you could shoot at it in Millipede or Centipede and it destroys all of them. We're going to pretty much be playing Centipede or Millipede in this level, but we're doing it for Spyro, of course, because Spyro is going to be the one that's going to be attacking these insects, these bugs. Going to be using his flame breath, of course, to flame down the bugs and have them burn to a crisp, since Spyro is best at that. We're going to be running through this farm, this bizarre-looking farm. It doesn't even look much like how I'd imagine. Well, it kind of does look something like a farm. I imagine this is kind of like Avalar's version of the Neverlands, where they somehow got all of these toxic waste barrels and we have to jump over them like as if we're playing 3D Donkey Kong. Yeah, we're playing 3D Donkey Kong again. I remember we did a similar thing to that in the Zephyr level, and we're doing it again in this level. 3D Donkey Kong. Let's jump over that. I've only got something for jumping over each one, like a score. But then again, this game doesn't really have a scoring system, because why would a game like this have a scoring system? Score is kind of useless by this point in time. People didn't, even for like a decade or so at this point in time, people weren't really playing video games for score anymore. People play them because they want to beat the games, to get far into the games. And I'm of course playing it so I could collect every single little bit of treasure that exists in this game. It's a lot cheaper than have a lot in going for it. So it's just like every other world in Winter Tundra. It's just all you have to get in this level are orbs and gems, and that's just about it. And we actually does well utilize his head bashing ability, because those large bugs, those large, hard, encased bugs, look like some sort of beetle type bug, has to be charged into, then head bash, and then he's dead. Almost looks like potato bugs. I remember the time they had to spray Milhouse's house for potato bugs, and Bart couldn't get his soul back from Milhouse. And these bugs also have stingers on them, but Spyro can jump high enough to fry them down. We're going to see more farm-related levels in Spyro 3 and Spyro 4. This becomes obligatory that every Spyro game since then has to have at least one farm level or farm-related level in the game. It all started with Spyro 2. I guess I kind of like another major ode and testament to how Spyro 2 set the standards for what the later Spyro games are going to be. Spyro 2 really is the game that really made Spyro what he is. And that could be said for a lot of other sequels and a lot of video games. A lot of times the second game in a lot of series is the one that, sets the standards for the series and determines how the rest of the series is going to be. It also happened to Mega Man and Wipeout and Crash Bandicoot and Sonic the Hedgehog. So now we have these windmills that keep going off here, so it's really easy to run into them because fire just bounces off them. It's like a layer of protection almost. It might as well be like one of those things that moves so fast that if you touch it, just kind of like those things I saw in Bubsy 3D in the final boss level where you have to just run through the level, and if you touch one of the walls it just transports you back to the beginning of the section. You have the electrified floor. Yeah, all farms have to have electrified flooring in them, right? All these bug zapper things everywhere. It doesn't even look like, I guess the reason why it doesn't look much like a farm, because it's Robotica Farms. It's a robots farm, obviously. The place is run by robots that wouldn't look out of place if you put them into a Ratchet and Clank game. They also look like robots that could have been in Disruptor. I'm pretty sure you saw similar enemies in Disruptor, which is another game that was also made by Insomniac Games before they made Spyro. They made Disruptor, and if you combine Spyro and Disruptor, you get Ratchet and Clank. I'm pretty sure Ratchet and Clank had a similar level to this too. Remember the fourth Ratchet and Clank game had segments where you would go to a farm and you have to plow down crops or something like that. Actually, crop harvesting. I'm surprised they didn't make Spyro do any crop harvesting in this game. Because everyone in this game seems to be like, hey Spyro, could you do this for me? Hey Spyro, could you clean my garage? Hey Spyro, could you do this? Hey Spyro, could you do that for me? I'm surprised no one made Spyro have to clean up crops or work with crops. Maybe they were saving that for one of the later games. Maybe they thought, oh, let's have Spyro do that in one of the sequels. This game already is pretty ambitious enough. This is a very ambitious PS1 game. This game, like I said, well demonstrates the PS1 in 1999, when the PS1 was in its prime, and nothing was slowing it down. It was going strong. Imagine if it still continued to go strong a decade after that. Imagine if PS1 became the world's longest running system ever. Kind of like what's it called? The original NES is also a long running system, and even the Genesis and a lot of other systems have lasted for quite a really long time now. Also to a point where their lifespans are almost infinite. So you fried that rocket there, that firework type rocket, it's going to explode, make that heavy metal case explode, that fireproof. Imagine it's like what a fireproof safe is in Spyro. This fireproof safe, we have almost, we don't have any orbs yet, but we have more than half the gems as well. This farmer's going to give us Farmer Appleby. Yeah, what a name for Farmer Appleby. Sounds like a stereotypical farmer name. All the farmers in this level seem to sound like Larry the Cable Guy, and he wants us to go after these flying bugs. They're not crows, they're bugs. That's not really a scarecrow, that's more like a scare bug thing or scare insect thing. You just have to run through all of them. You have to like, oh, look at that! Whoa, look at that. I just did a head bash and killed all 3 of them instantly like that. Quite possibly the quickest and easiest mini-game in the game, which gave me an orb the fastest amount of time, I think, the easy one. But again, it's impossible to get to this level without the head bash, so we now got an orb. First, the free orbs are slow. This level has free orbs, not 4 like Metropolis did in some other levels in this game. Heck, even some levels in the Autumn Plains had 4 orbs, and those levels had a talisman offer you as well, too. And so that's a lot cheap. Some of the Winter Tundra levels seem kind of lacking. Then again, as I keep saying, a lot of the levels in Winter Tundra are lacking. This one's not so much. This is actually more average. It's a lot more imaginative and creative than like the very forgettable Cloud Temples or Mystic Marsh for that. And look at that, it's like they're growing metal. What are those things? Those look like turnips, maybe like metal turnips. All kinds of things. Robots eat metal turnips. Sometimes wonder how these robots came to be. Who built these robots? Were they built here and abandoned? Eventually became their own society? Someone theorized that was the case for the movie Robots, that animated film from 2005. It was made by the same people made Ice Age everyone forgot about. I remember that movie Robots. I saw a movie in theaters back when it was new in 2005. It's kind of like it was kind of like a metaphor for like how housing is in today's world, and now it's hard to get a house and things are too expensive and people are going to die because they can't afford to pay overly insane prices for things because of corporate greed. And it stars Obi-Wan Kenobi in it. And I have to run up those teeter-totter things as well, too. Yeah, I remember teeter-totters at the parks. Oh, yeah, what fun that was. Imagine how many necks those things stretched out and how many chins those things broke. And then how many people got turned into frickin' Rock'em Sock'em robots from those things. Remember Rock'em Sock'em robots? Where you punch them so many times and their necks their necks pop out like a frickin' Pez dispenser almost. I never had any of those things before, but I do remember Rock'em Sock'em robots. I first noticed them in that movie, Toy Story 2, I think they had Rock'em Sock'em robots in that. So we have 2 of the free orbs now for this level. We're going to have to do another one of these track things. It's kind of like what we had to do in Fractured Hills. We had to run down that speedway, that speed thing. And I'm going to use a D-pad for this because the D-pad's the best way to navigate Spyro. For some reason I play with my emulator. Spyro's controls seem to bug out when I use the analog controls for these parts. And the D-pad's actually more accurate. I use a D-pad sometimes for playing Crash Bandicoot 2 because of accurate controlling and running in an accurate manner to get through the intricate levels. I missed that. So it means like, look at that, I missed one of the things. How did Spyro miss? Is that a mistake? Is that a glitch in the game? It's like how do you miss these things? They're so large and somehow Spyro just slips through the cracks literally, or yeah, I guess he literally slipped through the cracks. And yeah, this is going to take a lot of time. But each time I do this, it's always progress is going to be made. So I'm going to be collecting some of these gems. There's gems on it for me to collect. And this windmill is still preventing me from getting back to where we have to run. You have to run all the way back. This level isn't very large overall. It's one of the smaller levels of the game. But it does constantly involve Spyro running to and from back and forth from being at each level. I really need to time how long it takes to beeline each. Like, what if you played every level in this game just by beelining it, and then I could have a timer. It's like a time how long it would take to beeline every level. Oh boy, I'm really getting painful PTSD Vietnam flashbacks just by looking at those teeter-totters. I've never had any instance like that before, but I know they happened all the time, and that's why they don't put those damn things in parks anymore. Why don't we even have children's parks anymore? They're filled with diseases and bacteria, and all they do is they make children's necks longer, and sometimes function not as well, so... like frickin' Rock'em Sock'em robots. I mean, that's why they don't have those things anymore. I mean, that's why they don't have anything anymore, because kids don't really like playing with toys much anymore. I had a toy a long time ago I used to name Spyro. It was a Tupperware dragon that came apart into 3 pieces. I used to call it Spyro because it was purple. And also because I knew about Spyro 2 at the time. First heard of Spyro 2. And I just assumed that it was a sequel, even though I knew nothing about the original. Because why would someone make a video game with 2 in the title and it not being a sequel? I know they do have movies sometimes. So like one person said on YouTube said they did that with Terminator. You know, why was Terminator 2 called Terminator 2 and there was never any other Terminator movies ever made? It's the only it's the only Terminator movie ever made, and yet they called it Terminator 2. So maybe that's why they called it Spyro 2. For what I knew as a kid, this kind of was the only Spyro game to me as a kid. It's the only one I had access to. It's the one I play all the time. And then a little bit later, I got Spyro 4, which I didn't even call it Spyro 4 at the time, so I was unaware it was the 4th game in the series. So I just called it Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, but at least it perfectly describes what the game is. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. Because it involves him doing a dragonfly. It all sounds like the name of a cheap, lazy kung fu movie almost. Enter the Dragonfly. Is there a movie called like Enter the Dragon or something like that? Or I think there is a movie out there. It sounds like a Jackie Chan movie, Enter the Dragon. And it stars Spyro. I'm sure they did make a Spyro the Dragon movie, and it involved him doing like freaking kung fu moves on enemies and stuff like that. And yeah, I think Spyro could do kung fu, because in fact he's a quadruped. I mean, Howard the Duck did kung fu. We didn't call it kung fu, we called it quack fu. Howard the Duck and the powerful, or something of quack fu, we had to fight some villain using quack fu. Sounds like some sort of like martial arts technique that was developed by a quack job, like a quack, like you're a quack, like that time Eddie from Ed, Edd and Eddy got his head shrunken so small by Rolf, and he started calling Rolf a quack, and Rolf was like, I'm not a quack, I'm Rolf, you're a quack, he's a quack, you're a quack. Well, after so many attempts there, we finally got the pathway cleared for this farmer Barleycorn, whatever the hell that's supposed to be, can now run his tractor all around the perimeter, and there we got all 3 of the orbs from this level. Now all I need to do now is just find the remaining gems. If you came across one of those mysterious bottle things that has a question mark on it, it's a question! And we have to just run into it now and kill him. It's eventually going to appear at the front of this level again. This is where the level began. Again, this level's not very large. A lot of these levels aren't very large. It's really easy to run to the end of the levels from the front of the levels. There's still sheep everywhere. I guess sheep are not out of place on a farm level. But again, sheep seem to appear everywhere in this game. Even when it's not a farm level, sheep seem to be everywhere. Or maybe every level in this game is secretly a farm in disguise or something like that. I'm just gonna be running through all these. Spyro's not even necessarily a fast dragon. He actually runs pretty slow, and he actually runs pretty slow. Or even when he charges, he's not really all that fast. He only moves fast when he has a supercharged power up. So there, we just hit that bottle thing there, so it's going to appear elsewhere in the level. It's going to go roaming around the level looking for it, but I got to track again. Oh, look, there it is. There's something I missed from earlier. It's going to give me 1 gold gem, which is worth 10 gems. Gold is not the most. Kind of like in those Lego games where the gold studs are only worth like 100 studs. They're not the most valuable or expensive stud in the game. But the people who made the Game Boy Advance port of LEGO Star Wars, a video game, didn't seem to know that. You're all going to see that soon, because I'm going to be doing a Let's Play about eventually the GBA version of LEGO Star Wars, a video game. The one version of LEGO Star Wars, a video game I was stuck with having to play in the mid-2000s, because it was all I had, and I didn't have a good TV at the time to play a modern gaming system. God, how I hate the 80s, but I'll explain that when I get those videos. I think the bottle is going to be somewhere here. The bottle with the question mark on it. Sometimes wonder why they chose an exclamation mark to appear on Bubsy Bobcat's shirt and not a question mark. A question mark would have made more sense considering all the questionable stuff Bubsy does in his games. would have made more sense. Or you can put an @ symbol on it. He's right there. Well, he didn't take the @ symbol, so I took the @ symbol and used it for the new mascot for the Phoenixverse. Henry the Penguin. He's the Phoenixverse's new mascot. And I own the real Henry the Penguin with a plushie that I won from a carnival back in 2007. I would play with that plushie a lot during the time I'd be playing Spyro 2, because I both got those things in 2007, which is why I associate the two things with each other. And so I think we have this level 100% complete now, so we can finally leave Robotica Farms. And it's going to show the ending cutscene, and then, yes, you're going to use the bug zapper now. I remember when Adam Sandler tried using one of those to cook bacon in the movie Grown Ups. We're going to let these weird bug things, those things that look like grasshoppers, just fly out, and they're going to get stung by there. Those bugs are so stupid. You always fly into those things, even though I know it's going to kill them. Then again, a lot of enemies in this game are dumb. AI in general is pretty dumb. Maybe it's a statement on how if AI rules our world, they're going to become like those bugs that just ran to the zappers. This is Ray Phoenix signing out.